Day 2. Sit with the kids where you belong, my stepmother sneered at Thanksgiving dinner. The next morning, the family watched in shock as workers replaced the company's sign with my name. The result was Harrison Global would never again be under their leadership. Alex, Tommy tugged at my sleeve. Can you help me with my math homework after dinner? Dad says I need to learn about money if I want to be successful like Grandpa. I looked at this innocent kid, untainted by the family's politics. Sure, Tommy. I know a thing or two about money. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of business boasting from the main table. David detailed his plans to acquire smaller tech companies. My father nodded approvingly at everything his son said. Barbara orchestrated the conversation like a conductor, ensuring everyone knew exactly who was in charge of the family's future. Harrison Global will hit $10 billion in market cap next year, David proclaimed. Maybe then we can upgrade from the kids' table. Everyone at the main table laughed. I smiled too, but for a different reason. I checked my phone again. Another message from my assistant, sign company confirmed for 8 a.m. installation. All paperwork filed. Alexandra, Barbara called out, since you're sitting with the children, perhaps you'd like to help clear the tables. The adults need to discuss some confidential business matters. I stood up, gathering plates from the kids' table. Of course. Don't let me interrupt the important people. That's the problem with Alexandra, I heard Barbara whisper to my father. No ambition. No understanding of real business. Thank goodness we have David to carry on your legacy. If she only knew that while they were planning their next fiscal quarter, I was planning to own the entire company. That every major decision they'd make from tomorrow onward would require my approval. That the Harrison name they were so proud of would soon have a very different meaning. Thanks for sitting with us, Alex, Tommy said as I helped him with his coat later. The kids' table is more fun anyway. I hugged him goodbye. You were right, buddy. Sometimes the best view is from the sidelines. Driving home to my penthouse apartment, the one my family had never seen, I thought about tomorrow. About the look on their faces when they realized that the unsuccessful daughter they'd relegated to the kids' table had outmaneuvered them all. My phone rang. Barbara, calling, probably to remind me about some family obligation I was failing to fulfill. I let it go to voicemail and turned onto Park Avenue, where Harrison Global's headquarters dominated the skyline. Tomorrow, that building would have a new name. And everyone would finally understand why the kids' table had the best seat in the house. The next morning, I arrived at my office in Harrison Capital's unmarked building at 7:30 a.m. The sign company's trucks were already positioned in front of Harrison Global headquarters across the street. The workers hadn't started yet, they were waiting for my signal. Good morning, Miss Harrison, my assistant Sarah greeted me with coffee. Your father has already called 3 times. Of course he had. The morning's financial news was reporting unusual trading activity in Harrison Global stock. Major shareholders had been quietly contacted about an upcoming announcement. And David? I asked, settling behind my desk. 6 calls, plus 2 rather aggressive voicemails. Sarah's lips twitched. He seems concerned about the board meeting scheduled for 10 a.m., the one he just found out about. I smiled, remembering David's boasting at the Thanksgiving table just yesterday. Has the press release been distributed? Scheduled for 8:30, right after the sign changes. Speaking of which. She gestured to my window, where the first crane was moving into position. My phone buzzed. Barbara, calling again. I let it go to voicemail and instead opened the morning's report. Harrison Global stock had been halted, pending the announcement, but rumors were already spreading. The business news channels were running speculation about a possible hostile takeover. If they only knew it wasn't hostile at all. The board had approved everything weeks ago, tired of David's mismanagement and my father's blind faith in his stepson. At 8:15, Sarah appeared in my doorway. They are ready. I stood up, straightening my suit. Let's give them a show. The first workers began dismantling the giant Harrison Global letters that had dominated the building's facade for 20 years. A crowd was gathering on the street below, including several news crews. I spotted my father's town car pulling up, followed by David's Tesla. Right on schedule. What the hell is going on? My father's voice boomed through the lobby of Harrison Global as I walked in. Who authorized this? David was already shouting at the building manager. Stop them immediately. I demand to know who ordered this. I did, I said, my voice cutting through the chaos. They turned, faces draining of color as they saw me standing there in my executive suit, nothing like the casual clothes I wore at family gatherings. Alexandra, my father stepped forward, bewildered. What are you talking about? Barbara burst through the doors, her designer handbag swinging wildly. What is she doing here? This is a family matter. Exactly. I smiled. A family matter. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in the boardroom. The boardroom? David scoffed. You have no authority here, sis. Security. Actually. I held up my phone, displaying the official documents. As of 8 a.m. this morning, I have full authority. Harrison Capital now owns controlling interest in Harrison Global. The silence that followed was deafening. Outside, the workers continued removing the old sign. Harrison Capital. My father's voice was barely a whisper. My company, I explained calmly. The one you've all been too busy to ask about. We specialize in acquiring underperforming companies with strong potential. Companies like this one. Now you can watch the second part by pressing share and more.